Ladies and gentlemen, it's my great pleasure to say that in our opinion, and in the opinion of the Global Institute of Logistics, our benchmark for best-in-class independent freight forwarder in the USA is AIT. This is a very difficult thing to compare and contrast, culture. It's deliberate, right? It's a deliberate idea.
The effort that's been made is purposeful, and I think that shows, and I do believe that you've recognized what that is, and I think it's nice for our company to be able to see that there's a third party, an independent third party that was not coached on what to say or observe about us. Just so everyone knows, this is completely on Kieran and the GIL to be able to come up with whatever conclusions they came to. And I think it's a wonderful endorsement and a validation for what we're doing and where we find ourselves as a company today.
Yeah, and I think you need to know that because it's an exchange, isn't it? I mean, the greatest container terminal in the world is Yantian International Container Terminals in South China. There's no doubt about it. Pound for pound, 10.5 million containers. When we accredited them best in class in 2005, we did it with an exchange in mind. They told us what their secret sauce was, and from that we've built a global container terminal quality system. So equally, just to get that right, we expect AIT to be part of our first global benchmarking group, which is going to be formed at spring next year, where we have the best of the best from around the world, and we're going to be asking you, within a jury of your peers, we need to understand the roadmap to culture, and that's what I'm trying to drill into with you. So, but when we were doing the AIT always had a team culture. I saw an interview with one of the founders. It was always there, yeah. But you've majored on it, Vaughn, right?
Well, the founders always started the aspect of culture being important because of who they were as great human beings,
right?
And engaging in all team members throughout the entire organization. We collectively made a choice to emphasize that piece.
Yes.
And as you stated, master that piece, really spend time. And I initially, as I stated today to all of you, I initially stated that I was a custodian of the culture, that I felt it was my responsibility to represent what we were all about. I soon learned that it's not about what I'm representing and what we talked about today. We have a room full of people that are the custodians of the culture, and we have an entire organization that are the custodians that we've done at AIT a very good job to be able to represent that and continue to work on it because we're not perfect. No. We'll fail, but we'll fail fast, we'll correct it, and we'll be able to do something great the next day.
But many entrepreneurs and many businesses that we study they don't have a culture program. There is a culture in their organization, there's no doubt about that, yeah. But they don't major on it. But this is a deliberate strategy to take whatever additional time you have and resources and funnel it here.
We've actually put quantitative items that are on a priority list drop down in the effort to make sure the culture still stays as our investment, our time, what we're doing for our teammates. And that's extraordinarily important. But, you know, it's all words if you're not living that. And I think that's what makes AIT great. If you talk about a secret sauce, yeah. If there's one secret sauce for AIT, I think it is the culture and the faces that you see around this room and the passion yeah. For what it means to be a part of the organization. And for us, it's never been, I'll say it, it's never really been that hard because that's what we've known. And I think we've created that and given people permission to feel that initiative.
Yes.
And again, it's something to be very proud of, but it is what we know. And most of all, hey, what a wonderful byproduct to have a differentiator against your competitors. When we put that front and center, those competitors don't have that. They can't say that. They don't use that. They don't talk that language.
No.
And most of all, they don't live it. So that's what's different.
And what about the contention? So the great academic paper on the relationship between trust, or between, they call it relationship orientation. There's a great academic paper written by Brewer and Spey, and it proves that the higher the level of relationship orientation, which is this trust idea with the customer, the higher the level of logistics execution. I mean, speak to me. Can you see that the logistics product that you produce is better as a result of the culture? Can you speak to that?
Well, I think it's a direct correlation to the number one tenet that we have in our company, and that is earning our customers' trust.
Right.
Because once it starts there, What did we learn? We learned today throughout the room that we learned that you have to trust yourself first in order to make other people trust you.
Right.
So what we've learned about ourselves is that we trust ourselves and we give permission for that fact in order to be able to earn the trust of our customers. Therefore, it translates, and that's why we have business. We have business that we compete with all the big players in our industry, the multi-conglomerates that are much, much larger than ours. But we find a niche in the flexibility and the personal touch that we give, and most of all, that trust that we have with those clients. That's what differentiates us and separates us. Otherwise, we're all the same beings. We're all the same companies. We all look the same. But that's our great differentiator, and frankly, our secret sauce, secret weapon, whatever you want to call it.
I remember the founder of the Holiday Inn said famously, I can't think of the guy's name, but he said the secret to the success of the Holiday Inn was he only employed people that liked people to work in his hotel, and it saved him an awful lot of hassle around customer service after. You know, I'm a person that likes people, right? So that's okay, but not everybody likes people. So, you know, how do you, this is about you liking people, isn't it really? I mean, doesn't the whole thing come from the top down? I mean, essentially this is about, I like people, I like to see people getting on, I like to see people happy. Isn't it all about,
no one's going to accuse me of not liking people, but I enjoy people. I enjoy every person in this company. I enjoy my interaction with them, and probably my worst fear or my worst nightmare would be locked in a room where I'm in an office and I can't interact with people.
Right.
I would die like a flower.
Right.
So, yeah, I genuinely believe that, but I'm also smart enough to know that I can surround myself with people smarter and better than me that have the abilities to do the other aspects that I may not be as strong at, that they do so well. And they make me and the company a better company because of that. And it certainly makes my job a lot easier because it's just natural for me. I enjoy it. I love nothing more than being around everyone that's in this room and sometimes being on stage, talking to people like you. I enjoy it.
The secret seems to be about a genuineness around the people here. You really want people to succeed, and that's what American culture is. You know, I mean, you can succeed, but you've managed to kind of bottle it. That's the interesting thing, that it is a sauce, that you've bottled it now.
Well, it's complimentary for what you say, but when you see other people succeed and you see other people do well, there's great pride in that.
Right.
So I know that the byproduct will be, all of us will be taken care of if collectively we're doing well, but individually we're doing well. And we spent the time to talk about something today way beyond business. We talked a lot about how it affects people personally and their families and how they can be better people and a better impact on their communities. So very frankly, it is way more important to leave a great legacy as a company, as individuals, than anything we'll ever do in the marketplace. But what a wonderful product to be great at what we do in logistics and be recognized for that.
Absolutely.
And again, that's why you're here. And that's what's nice for us at AIT to get that type of recognition independently, where we're kind of humbly going along on what we do. We know who we are. We're not a bear hiding behind a sapling acting as if no one can see us.
Right.
I assure you we know.
Right, of course.
And I assure you we know how to take market share. And I assure you we know how to define ourselves and our strengths and how to shore up our weaknesses. But I'm very proud of where we sit today globally. And it's also one of the wonderful recognitions that we've ever had in the mere fact that we're being recognized globally because of the emphasis on international. That was a conscious effort that we made to invest internationally and play in that space.
Yes.
And play in the global footprint that we have. There are people that are represented from around the world here, from Amsterdam to all over Asia and Mexico. We have Canada. We have people representing us from all over that makes the statement that AIT is an international company.
Correct. But this idea about being, I mean, what we do I suppose we'd like to think that we know what we're doing. But this
I
idea,
hope so.
this idea of the prophecy that we have, that we're being slightly prophetic. So in other words, what we see is that but when you put the rest of the jigsaw together, the global footprint, right? So there's a building out going on. We saw Vietnam falling into place.
Yes.
I know that from our discussions with others around the world that you were looking at other territories all the time. And in fact, increasing your footprint in China and not, and so on.
Further, that's an important, let me just state it because it was a question that was asked.
Yeah.
Further expansion in China under Wilson Lee's guidance.
Yes.
If Wilson Lee says yes and jump and go, we go because
Yes.
he knows what he's doing.
Yes.
Mexico will continue to expand in that area. And we're going to continue to look around the world as we go forward. But those things will happen in the year of 2017 for our company and continue to expand and make that impact for what you just described.
Correct.
Overall.
So we see it as quantum. So we're talking 15, 20%. But anyway, let's see what happens. But so now in terms of future-proofing the culture, so talk to those that are the pioneers, the Genesis people that are here. You're relatively, you behave like a team, but the numbers are growing. So speak to future-proofing the culture. I know that's a part of the vision, right?
Well, I've only worked for 2 companies.
Okay.
One is AIT,
Right.
so that's a good thing. I worked for another company that was a company that grew from 20 million at the time that I started it out of college to over 1.2 billion.
Right.
What I saw from that company is I saw the culture get ripped out.
Correct.
And I saw things change in ways that I know that I did not like. And any person that's ever been recruited by me in this company knows that I'm a firm believer in maintaining that the cement is always wet at
Right.
AIT, that you can have an impact at AIT at all levels. One of the largest challenges you get as you get larger to still make that impact where you can do that from a cement standpoint. People come in, plug in, but make an impact in the company.
Yes.
But where does that culture go?
Correct.
That is why we're making a conscious effort to spend the money and the time on the culture and listen to what our teammates are saying. The one paradigm switch I hope all of you get very clearly is this is not top-down driven from what we're doing in the culture. We are listening to all of you. IC, company-owned. Everyone has a voice in what that has been. We listen to what that is, and we've made our decisions and choices based off of that.
Correct.
Therefore, my opinion, as we get larger, which invariably we will be,
Yeah, indeed.
we will maintain that culture because it's driven by the custodians in the room, the custodians of the culture in the room.
Yeah, I want to finish on this. I want to just do a soundbite because I know we're going to record this, and I just want to do a soundbite, particularly for the frontline consultants and sales professionals that are out there on the front line. Let's just talk to the shipper for a moment, right? To the customer. I want to say that it's important first and foremost, when we did that study in 2005 on the role of the 3PL, we identified Hellman Worldwide Logistics as having this culture as a global 3PL. You can read that work. We've never done the study again, but Hellman have done extraordinarily well from that accreditation. It has opened doors for them. They have won accounts.
May I make a clarification for the
Yes.
room?
Yes.
3PL, that was the 3PL. There's different accreditations
Correct.
that Kieran has done. We are the best-in-class freight forwarder in the United States.
Independent freight forwarder.
Independent freight forwarder. They're the 3PL. Just want to make sure we understand.
Correct. And that was back at the time that we studied SIVA, we studied TNT, and all that group. But it does stand them in good stead to this time.
Yes.
In Hellman's corporate history, the milestone is best in class, and it's opened doors for them. But let's just talk to the shipper. What I want the customer of AIT to know, where you're on an RFQ or an RF right now, I want your customer to know that you're different, that there's something here worth engaging with. In other words, that the logistics experience that their cargo will have by working with AIT will be better than the experience that their cargo will have working with somebody else. Now, we need to get that out there, right? Because we're not coming back this way, right? It's not as if we're going to be next year sitting at another conference with the next best independent. It's a study we'll do and it comes to an end. What do you want to say to existing AIT customers, other than I told you so, but to future...
I might say that.
Yeah. But to future customers, how do you communicate? If you had the BCOs out there right now, what is it?
Well, first I would state that, just for clarification,
Yes.
so the room understands what this award means. That door is closed. This is not like next year, the following year, there's another best-in-class independent freight forwarder in the United States. Kieran has done this where he's moving on to other categories from the GIL. That's what they're looking at. So we can rest our laurels on this award,
Correct.
which is accredited, and a wonderful experience, and greatly appreciate what you've offered to us.
Correct.
When it falls into the category of what our shippers experience, current and future,
Correct.
we talk about that secret sauce, right? We talk about the culture of AIT, but for a client, if the client can't feel that, it doesn't matter.
There you go.
So a client may begin in looking and evaluating by price, then by transit time, maybe in that order, and then by relationship. Those three items probably are premier in what goes on. But for AIT, what I can confidently state is that we stand out amongst all three. That's where the culture does change, because we are earning our customers' trust. So we're actually putting time and effort into having a relationship with the client where they're not just a number, they're not just a plug and play, they're not just a plug and play from a logistics solution. We're actually coming in it from a consultative standpoint. So we're consulting with them, but we're also solving problems. We're solutions oriented by what we're offering to them and not just sitting back and taking the freight. We also have had many examples of situations where a client giving us freight may be routing something incorrectly, where they're costing themselves more money or costing transit time that many a large global player is happy to take and no issue. But as a niche player, as a mid-sized forwarder, but the biggest player in that place, in my opinion, and the best,
Correct.
we're able to be nimble and flexible in order to supply that client with a best-in-class service. So they get all three in those areas, but well beyond, you might be able to find one client or one competitor doing one good thing in one area, but not all three, and that's what AIT brings to the table.
Wonderful. And finally, Vaughn, to the team, to these people. Incredible job out there, right?
Well, it's very simple. I ended my short speech earlier today thanking you for all that you do. You know, that's my phrase. I sincerely mean it. You have so much to be proud of for what you've accomplished individually and collectively. And I thank you all for allowing us to win this award.
Vaughn, thank you very much. Congratulations.
All right, I
Well
appreciate
done.
it.
Good job, Vaughn.
Thank you. Hey, Kieran. One more. This is good. Let's take this in for all of us. And we thank you. Thank you to Kieran. Let's get a good award.